Hello, everybody, and welcome into another Red Wings news and rumors here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, joined in by Jordan Orth. Jordan, how's it going?
Good. Enjoying trying to stay warm up here. It's pretty cold. So trying to stay warm and enjoy the little bit of time we got left before the Olympics kick off.
For sure, yeah. The Olympics are close. We're really close, actually. When you're looking at, where they start February 4th, 5th, I think it is. But so, hockey doesn't. Yeah, the men's hockey doesn't start till I think the next week after that. And so, women's hockey is right away. They start right off the bat. So we'll have that to look forward to. And then, yeah, lots of Red Wings in the Olympics as well. But on this episode, we got a lot of trade rumors kind of floating around because I think a lot of teams are trying to do something before the trade freeze, for the roster freeze, at least on February 4th. So, there's going to be, there's already been some deals. Of course, we saw Kiefer Sherwood go to the San Jose Sharks. And then, the big trade that happened a couple days ago as well. So, there's a lot of things that could happen in the next couple weeks before the roster freeze. And Yzerman missed out on the Ramus Andersson trade, which finally happened. And he was in the mix. There was rumors that the Red Wings were going after Ramus Andersson, of course, going to the Vegas Golden Knights. Who is Yzerman pivoting to now? Because it looks like he is targeting a defenseman.
Yeah, Tony put out a good piece about Dougie Hamilton being a target. I kind of agree with him. I think for the price you're going to have to pay for him, he brings a little bit of stability to the back end. You need that. You need one more defenseman, obviously. Now Yzerman clearly sees it too. You could look at someone like him who can help out kind of on both ends of the ice, which the way the defense is producing the last few games, don't necessarily need. You need more of that defensive defenseman, but you can look at someone like him. You can look at, there's a few of them. It all really depends on what these teams think. If they've actually got a shot. We know how crowded the East is right now and everything. It just really comes down to that. We've talked about Justin Falk before. I still think that might be an option just because of the experience he brings to the back end. There's a few guys. You could even look at Carson Soucy with New York, which, if you can get something worked out with him, along with, another one of those guys that they're supposedly not bringing back next year.
Yeah.
So if you can work something out with that, swing it a multiplayer trade and just knock it out with one trade. There's definitely options out there. It just really depends on, obviously, the cost. And, again, if these teams think they're able to stay competitive and stay in the playoff hunt.
There's, of course, the teams that are kind of looking like they're out of it. Like you mentioned, the Rangers, they're kind of getting to that point. The Vancouver Canucks, they're apparently open to trading everyone. They've got a lot of defensemen. We discussed briefly Marcus Pettersson not that long ago. He's got some term on his contract. So, I think he has some trade protection as well. I think he has a no-move clause, actually. If that's something that all these things have to come into play with a lot of these guys. So we'll see what Yzerman goes after next. Like you say, Justin Falk is a good guy that I think we discussed, right? Dougie Hamilton's an interesting one. There's a lot of money. I think the biggest thing with him. And I think that's going to be the issue with a lot of what the Devils do want to move him. It's that problem. And the thing is he has to want to go as well. So there's a lot of things to kind of work out with a lot of these defensemen, but we'll see who he actually goes after next. All right. Well, we'll shift to some forwards that have been kind of in the trade rumors. And first we'll go with Artemi Panarin, a big name. Looks like the Rangers are going to be trading him. They said they're not going to offer him an extension. So this is a rental. I don't think Panarin is signing an extension with anyone as part of it. But he's probably the most expensive rental out there. And he's got some connection with Patrick Kane. I played with him in Chicago. And so, could there be reunion in the cards there?
Yeah, it's definitely at least worth the call. Like you said, it's going to be quite pricey because obviously New York's not just going to give him up. He's got almost 50 points or over 50 points already. So he's still producing. It's not like anything's dropping off. So, should he? Yeah, why not? At this point, it might be more of a luxury than anything because you're looking more for, again, the stability with the defensive aspect of the game. With the offensive side, I mean, you still got guys producing, but I mean, if you get the chance to throw on Artemi Panarin into your lineup, I don't think you're going to say no. It just really, we all know how Yzerman is with wanting to overpay. Like you said, if he's not going to sign an extension, he's been leery on it. I mean, that's what happened with the Quinn Hughes thing. I'm sure that played a big part in the Anderson deal too. So
yeah,
it really should he? Yeah, just again, just make the call and see what they're wanting, whatever else. Will it happen? I don't think it will, just because of what the price is going to be and the fact, again, he's not going to be able to be guaranteed. Like you said, he's a rental.
Yeah,
and you're not a team like a Colorado that's okay. We're head and shoulders kind of above everybody right now. Let's add this guy and make our team like a 4-line.
Yeah.
Murderer's row kind of thing, you know, where you're not going to be able to play against us and beat us very easily at all. So I don't think it happens. I think there's probably at least going to be a phone call or discussion about it, though.
Yeah. I mean, there's always that, because there is that chemistry between Patrick Kane and him. I don't think DeBrincat was there at that point. No, I was like just going back a bit a ways when Panarin first started. So it's like there's a lot of chemistry there. But yeah, I do agree with that. It's like he seems to be averse. Yzerman seems to be averse to getting guys that don't have an extension. And that's why probably, like you say, that's probably why the trade didn't happen with Ramus Andersson. So I think that was probably a thing. The Golden Knights are probably going to re-sign him, and that's probably in the cards in the next probably week, maybe even next week. The Hanifin one went really quick when they got him. So yeah, I think that's why Panarin won't come to the Red Wings. I think he's heading to free agency. There were rumors that he's not even going to go to free agency. He's just going to go overseas. I believe that rumor was a while ago now. But I mean, there's that thing too. He may not even be in the NHL next season, so we'll see. All right. Well, a guy that has been, it's pretty recent with this, is Elias Pettersson being in the rumors with the Red Wings. He's got a lot of term on his contract, so there's no issue there. Do you think that Yzerman goes after him? I mean, this is a guy that, moving to a team that might, he's not the highlight. He's not the big guy. Of course, he'd be an important part, but on the Red Wings, it's Lucas Raymond. It's Dylan Larkin. Pettersson won't have to be the focal point, the focus that he is in Vancouver right now. Do you think that's something that could happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I think for him, it's almost one of those cases where he needs somewhere to go to kind of help rejuvenate him. And like you said, if you send him somewhere to Detroit or a team that's more of that playoff contender, he's not going to have to be the lead guy. And it's another one of those things. Do I think it happens? Probably not, because again, the cost. But like you said, he's got the term, which works out all right, and you've got the cap space. And obviously, you're going to make it work with Vancouver if you end up doing it to give them a little bit of cap back too. But I think that one might be more likely than Panarin, just based on the term part and the fact that he's obviously younger, and you don't have to wonder, well, is he going to come back next year? Is he going to be gone? Is he? Yeah. It's just, I think out of the two, I think that one's more likely, just in my opinion. But I mean, anything's worth giving it a shot and see. All I can do is tell you no. I mean, so, and if they're open for business, you might as well keep giving them calls and saying, hey, this is what we're going to give you. And if they don't like it, okay, well, you tell us what you want. And just, we all know how negotiations work with stuff outside of sports. So I'm sure it's not a whole lot different. So
for sure. Well, you're looking at, I mean, the Red Wings and the Canucks have dealt together before, the Hronek trade. So, I mean, I'm sure the conversation could happen with this. It would be obviously a more complicated trade, because Hronek was just for a first-round pick. I believe there wasn't anything else involved in that. So, I mean, there's going to be prospects, probably a first-round pick involved. Everyone's thinking that Pettersson doesn't have a lot of value. He has a lot of value. It's just that I think that money, I mean, $11.2 million is a big number for what he's producing right now. that might be an issue. There are talks that Canucks are going to have to retain on him if there is a deal going to be made. I don't know what type of, this is the same thing as the Quinn Hughes trade. I really don't know what a deal would look like. I mean, is there first round picks? Are high-end prospects involved? Is there young 23 to 25-year-olds getting in there? It definitely won't be as blue chip as what the Hughes got with the Canucks, because Hughes is obviously a much higher end player of what he is right now. If Pettersson was still putting 100 points up, I don't think the Canucks are even trading him or even looking at it. So I think just be part of this rebuilding thing. I think Pettersson is on the block. It's just a matter of what a deal would look like and if the Red Wings would be willing to whatever the Canucks are kind of looking for. There's a lot of talk that they want a center in return and at a caliber that's around Pettersson. So what would that look like for the Red Wings, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it was no different. I mean, it was the whole Casper situation. I mean, we've talked about that before too, with the whole Hughes thing. That was probably what they were looking for, possibly in something like that, or Danielson. I mean, they're not obviously to the point of Pettersson, but they have a little bit of the same trajectory. Maybe not 100 points, obviously, from either of them, but they're more than adequate to be that second line center if they need to be. And I think you look at the return they're going to get. I think a lot of it's going to come back to maybe what they retain. I think the more you're going to retain, the more you're probably going to get for them. So, but yeah, I mean, it like you said, it's one of them trades. It's hard to really project or anything what it would even look like.
Yeah. I think is definitely picks and young players. I don't think it's going to be prospects, because the Canucks they're apparently trying to do it within 2 to 3 years. I think that's very unrealistic in my opinion, but I think that's probably where they're looking at. It's not, the draft is probably where they're thinking we're going to get the high end prospects there. I think it's young players is where they're going to be looking in this. So, look what they did with the Hughes trade. They didn't get high end. They didn't. Well, I guess Ogren would be considered a prospect still, but you're looking at, Marco Rossi type. I think that age range, and Danielson, Casper, obviously a little younger in that. So I think that's probably, again, it'll probably be similar players they're asking for that they would be in the Hughes trade. So we'll see if Yzerman's okay with that. I think the Hughes thing, there's also that extension part of it that he might be gone in 2 years. Well, with Pettersson, it's 6 years. So right. there's a lot more on that. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Finally, we've talked about Patrick Kane quickly. He's closing on a major milestone. He's going to pass Mike Modano probably in the next week, 2 weeks. He's got only 3 points to break that all-time points record for U.S.-born players. What a career Patrick Kane's got. I mean, this is something that Mike Modano's had for years and years, and Kane's going to become that pretty soon. When do you see this happening? I mean, he just needs a 3-point game.
Right. I mean, it could happen in the next game against Toronto. You never know, but I'd like to see it happen on Saturday when they play Winnipeg. Do it against his old teammate in Taves. But I mean, you're looking either against the Wild or against the Jets. Minnesota wouldn't be a bad one to have it happen with either. I mean, that's where Modano started his career with the Stars and everything. And I mean, it's USA Hockey out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's going to happen in the next 3 games, just based on, I mean, not saying they're going to try and force the puck to him, kind of like the empty net goal for 500, which I'm happy he got it, but I'm sure, some guys look at it like, okay, maybe I wanted to score with a goalie in the net, but you're talking to people, that's an easy way of getting it. Well, he still got it. So I think he's deserved an empty netter once in a while to get something. So, but I think it happens before the end of the weekend, honestly. So,
I mean, too bad he's not in the season he's doing it. He just isn't playing for Team USA after the Olympics. Like we talked about that before. So, I mean, that's a little unfortunate that he's not going to get that opportunity, breaking this record and also playing for the US at the Olympics. It's a big milestone though, major. Had a career that, there was a point where it looked like that he wouldn't even get close to this because of his hip, his hip there, and looks like that's behind him, and he might still play in the league for another few seasons before he retires and make that record almost nearly unbeatable. I don't know who'd be next. Austin Matthews is probably your next guy.
Yeah, it's got to be the closest one. I mean, at least right now, but
yeah, who knows? I mean, there's some other guys that could end up. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are a long ways away from there, but I think Kane will hold on to it probably as long as Modano. And we'll see who's going to be next on that list. All right. Well, mostly trade targets on this episode, which is the time of the year, because I think that we've got 2 trade deadlines this year. We got the roster freeze, and then we've got the real trade deadline on March 6th. So probably next week we'll talking more about trades again. There might be a trade we can talk about. So thanks, Jordan, for coming on, as always, talking Red Wings. And they're looking like they're on fast track to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. So we'll have a lot more on that as well. But make sure to check out everything at thehockeyreports.com. We got great articles there, and then our Substack newsletter and the YouTube channel for all our other videos. But until our next one, we will see you next time.